9 months ago, we bought our forever home so I could build my dream beauty studio in the bottom of the garden. We finally have the lawn laid and the patio area complete, but let me remind you on how it started. We had so much to do inside, but the outside was the biggest job we had to tackle. The garden was so overgrown, you literally couldn't see the ground. We even discovered a pond we didn't even know we had. And the garage needed taking down as this was taking up so much space in the garden, and the roof was full of asbestos and the quotes were coming in crazy to have this removed. So we called in the crazy team of friends and family to help tackle that job, and let me tell you, it came down quick. I honestly felt so grateful and lucky that day for all our friends and family who came to help us throughout the whole process. And with the garage removed, we soon started seeing progress in the garden. We kept at it day by day and removed as much green waste as we could. We then tackled the larger trees which would have been in the way, but most of these were rotted and needed to come out anyway. So we sent my brother up to get rid of these, and I'm sure there was a safer way, but my family are crazy and they did not hang about. We literally had piles of green waste as high as our house, which we took in turns to take this to the tip as we tried to keep the cost down where we could. So now that the green waste is finally out of the way, we can start to see the garden. We then had a friend who rented his digger to us so we could flatten the garden and create the new drainage system for the cabin so I could have a toilet and running water. This was a massive job as we later discovered the drains underground had all cracked. So we're already halfway through our budget and we haven't even got any walls. So we had the timber delivered and the base prepared for the cabin. Again, I'm so lucky to have family in the trade as they fitted me in with their busy schedule as I needed it completed ASAP. And my dad put this temporary path down, which actually was a godsend with all the soil and the mud. So smack bang in the middle of the project, me and Corey went on holiday, so we left the carpenter there to start building the cabin. So I tried not to think of the stresses back home, but I was keeping in touch with the joiner as he was building the whole of the cabin from scratch. So we didn't have this flat pack, he built this by hand, he made sure the insulation was amazing so it was going to be nice and warm inside. He sectioned the rooms out so I had a toilet and Corey had his office, and it really started to come together. So when we got home, the roof got finished and the cladding got finished, and let me tell you, it started to feel like an actual cabin. Insulation, plasterboard and plaster complete. We were then moving on to the floor. I picked my tiles, which took me a lifetime, and then my brother came to lay those. And then once the flooring was done, it was literally moving on to decorating. Like, it literally happened so fast. Like, the end result was like here before I even knew it. It took 3 months from starting this project to where we are here, and I just could not believe how quickly we'd got it up in. Just look at this space. How is this even mine? I'm literally still overwhelmed with it. So some of you may not know, but my dad is a builder and I do not know what I'd do without him. And he was the one who said he would do my patio. So he's had loads of hardcore delivered and they're just basically trying to even it out. So it's pretty flat and yeah, even. And then Dean goes in and then uses the whacker plate to make sure it's all smooth so the flags can go on a nice flat surface. Then my dad decided that I was going to need some sort of drainage system near the cabin. He didn't want the water to collect on the tiles and then for it to sit on the wood of the cabin and rot it. So he had these installed, which I didn't really want originally, but actually they look really good when he fitted them. So yeah, Dean's just obviously concreting that in, making sure they don't move. Then the patio is basically ready for the flags. So I don't think anyone understands how long it actually took me to finally decide on what tiles I was having, and I finally made my decision. I bought these from Stone Zone and I fell in love with them when I saw them, but they are so big that I was actually a little bit worried about the boys laying them. I actually got them for 50% off because they was in the sale, because nobody who's in this trade actually likes to lay them because they're so heavy. So they're poor backs, but oh my God, they turned out absolutely amazing. I was so happy with them. They really complement the cladding on the cabin and I just absolutely loved them. So then my brother came back the next day and took all the little thingies out, whatever they're called, gave the patio area a nice clean down and then prepped it ready to do the grout. So you can see I haven't gone too far out with the patio area. I just wanted it to be like just a little added extension onto the cabin, somewhere where we can sit out and have our coffee. I'm going to have some like cute little chairs and maybe a little coffee table out there, and it'll just be beautiful in the summer. And then we're actually going to grass the rest of the garden, so there'll be some nice clean grass going up to that, and I just think it looks amazing. I'm so happy with it. And now we're on with laying the new turf, which Stone Zone in Christchurch, Dorset kindly gifted us to get the project completed. They are such a great local landscaping supplier, and I can't thank them enough. They have also given me a code, Huyana 10, so you can get 10% off your orders in store and online. Thanks, Stone Zone. So later on down the line, I would love to re-landscape the garden and kind of give it like the country cottage kind of vibe with some gorgeous beds. But in the meantime, while we're saving for money, I'm going to put some nice pots on the patio area just so it looks a little bit more finished. So now that the cabin and garden is all done, let me give you a tour of the outside and inside of my beauty studio. So starting with the cabin, we actually went for this cladding from Ecoscape called Silver Birch, which is just like the nicest silvery, like almost like greeny, sagey colour to it. And when I saw it online, I was like, that is the cladding that I want. And it cost a fortune, but I'm so glad I went for it because it completely makes this cabin look so good, and it makes it look so much more than a cabin. And I knew I always wanted like an overhang in the cabin, and because I don't know, I just like wanted to like sit out here like maybe when it's raining and just be able to admire the garden and admire the cabin even when we have like the crap weather in England. And I think this just makes it look really nice as well, having that like little touch and like that almost like that canopy above us. So the next thing are the doors. So I wanted to go for Crittle doors, and again they were more expensive because going for Crittle you spend more money, but I knew it was going to add to the look that I wanted, and it was just going to finish it off amazing. And we actually got this from a company up north called New Scene, and they actually gave us a really good discount on them. So we got these for quite a good price, and the quality of them is just amazing. Yeah, I'm really happy we went with these. So I already showed you the floor in the intro, but this is what it looks like on a nice dry day and how it looks with like my pots and my plants on here. And I'm just so glad I went for these tiles. They look magnificent. So now we're in the beauty studio, and this is the centerpiece of the cabin. So this, I think most of you will know by now where this bed is from. So it's from a company called Rem, and I actually managed to customize this bed. So I changed the fabric to match with my room colors, and this was a little extra, this bolster, which just adds a little bit of extra touch. And then also I even got to customize the base as well, so the color of the bottom, which also I'm so glad I went for, because I was actually going to go for a walnut colour on the base to match with my units, and I'm so glad I didn't, because it just looks amazing how it is. And it's also electric, which is a game changer. So I can adjust this to whatever height I would like to. And when I'm doing like massage and things, oh my God, it's just such a game changer that you can have the bed the perfect height so you're not straining your back and things. So yeah, I can't believe I lived without an electric bed all these years. It is a game changer. So moving on to the trolley, everyone always asks me where this trolley is from, and it was actually from IKEA, £30, so cheap, and it's like the perfect height. It's got 3 tiers, which is just perfect. I use the top tier for all like my beauty bits, my second tier I use for like my mirrors and my sanitizing bits, and then my bottom one is for my dustbin and my couch roll, and it just works perfectly. And then these little attachments as well from IKEA, which I find so handy. You can have as many as you want attached to your trolley, which they are, yeah, I keep my little like under eye patches in there, but yeah, it's just perfect. And it's funny because when I was creating the room in my mind, I didn't envision on having a trolley because my worktop was going to be basically my trolley. But actually, when you're working on clients, it is so handy to have your trolley, especially when I'm doing like waxing and stuff. I put my wax pot on here and then I can wax, and yeah, it's actually nice to be able to move this around with you. And even when it comes to like doing like my lashes, I know I can reach over here, but actually having it right next to me like saves your back. So a trolley, yeah, everyone just needs this when they are a beautician. So when I'm doing my lashes and brows, I actually sit on a chair, and this is from Living It Up, and this is honestly the best saddle stool you will ever sit on. It is so comfortable. For the first week, you'll probably find that it's a little bit uncomfortable and you have to try and get used to it. And then after that week, honestly, it's like a game changer. It really helps with my posture because like it hasn't got a back on it. It kind of allows you to sit where you want and work from that. And it's just, yeah, it's ideal. So the colour I chose was taupe, and I think it matches like really nicely with the aesthetics of the room. I didn't know going for obviously a different fabric and a different colour would look odd, but it doesn't. I think it looks really nice. It's still neutral and still goes with my bed. So that is another purchase that you beauticians need. So I'm just going to talk about like my layout of the room and how I envisioned it and how I wanted it set up. So I obviously wanted like a worktop behind me so I can work from that, and I wanted a sink to be like the centerpiece of the worktop. And the sink that I went for was, I must have bought 7 sinks until I found the perfect sink, and it was such a nightmare sending those sinks back. I've literally got PTSD thinking about it, but I finally settled on this one, and it's from a company called ABI Interiors, and they're a UK brand, and I fell in love with it when I put it against the worktop. It just looks beautiful. It was a little bit expensive, but I thought, you know what, this is like the showpiece of the room when you walk in, like this is the centerpiece of that back wall. So I just wanted it to be perfect. And the tap that I wanted was brushed brass, and I always had in my head I wanted the brushed brass tap, but people was putting me off because I went for chrome plug sockets. I didn't know if it was going to clash, but I'm so glad that I stuck to my guns and I went for the brushed brass because I don't think it clashes at all. I think it's its own entity, it's its own like statement and showpiece. So this sink was purposely for like my facials and if I needed some water to take off like things like lash tints. So this sink I only wanted for that. So I did go ahead and have another sink put in. So come over. So yes, in this little cabin, I've got 2 sinks. In fact, no, I've got 3 sinks because I've got a bathroom. So I went mental with the sinks, which obviously cost us way more because if you have 3 sinks, you have 3 lots of plumbing and then you need a plumber to do it all. So yeah, I went a bit crazy with the sink, but I'm so glad I went for a sink in this kitchen area because this is what I do all my cleaning from. This is what I make my teas and coffees from. So I can't even imagine, Corey, not having this and having to work out of that sink. It would have been too small. So yeah, this was from Howden's, this sink. And talking about Howden's, the units were from Howden's as well. So again, in my mind, I knew what colour cabinets I wanted. And when I started looking online, I was looking for like actual like cabinets. And then it wasn't until I came across these, which were from Howden's, which of course was their most expensive bloody ones. So the brand is called Hockley and the colour is walnut. And these are actually kitchen units. But what I did do was I didn't get the actual kitchen units. I got the kitchen cabinets. So this cabinet would usually be on a wall in a kitchen. But I loved how narrow they was because I didn't want, if I was to get a kitchen unit, it would have come out here and it would have took up so much of the room because the kitchen cabinets are 600 deep, whereas the units are 300 deep, which is literally exactly what I wanted. And I was so happy with how they came out. Although I remember when my brother was building them and when he first did them, he put them on like a plinth, which was about this big. And when I walked in and saw that I'd literally fitted them all and they came up to here, I was like, oh no, they're too high. They looked so high, didn't they, Corey? And they just didn't look right, because then they looked like, again, they look like kitchen units, and I wanted them to look more like a side table kind of thing. I know that sounds silly, but I wanted them to be nice and low. I didn't want them to be high, and I think it just makes that back wall look so much better. So the worktop is actually a granite worktop, and this was from a company called Portman Stone in Somerford, and I managed to get this in the yard, and it wasn't an offcut, but it was a piece that was on its own. So they gave me a really good discount on this. And I'm so glad I went for granite, because I originally was going to go for like a laminate one, and it is like night and day when you put those two together with the quality. And again, I was like, do I need to spend that much on a granite worktop? Is it going to be worth it? Yes, the answer is yes. It was worth every penny. I'm so glad I did. It completely transforms the worktops. It goes so nicely against my units. It just looks, I don't know, like really seamless, like nice and seamless. So the walls was a main feature as well of mine. So I'd seen it all over Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, every home website I was on had these like lime wash effect walls, and I just knew I needed this in the cabin. This was the look I was going for. It was like sparry, it was like warm, and it had texture to it. So Corey decided that we could do it ourselves, because we got a quote actually to have them properly plastered in that effect, and we got a quote for, was it 15,000, Corey? And bear in mind, the windows take up half of the bloody room. So I nearly fell through the ceiling when he told me that price. And I was like, right, Corey, what can we do? So Corey was like, right, we can actually create this effect with paint, because that's what everyone was doing. So the wall colour is from Farrow and Ball, and it's called Skimming Stone. And we actually got it in lime wash, but we kind of regret getting it in lime wash, because if you can't feel it, but if you look really closely, it has like this sand in it, and it's not got like a smooth, it's always like literally putting like dust on our clothes. So if I do that, it's not doing it, of course. It's not doing it. But usually it puts like dust on your clothes because it's got like sand in it. So if we was to do it again, we wouldn't have used a lime wash, we would have used something else. But we basically created the texture using a sweeping motion of brushes, and that's what gave us our like speckled textured wall. So it turned out incredible. In fact, I was gonna only originally have one wall in it, but I loved it that much. I was like, the whole room needs doing. I literally wanted it all doing it in it. And we even went for the same colour skirting boards as the walls, but we use a different finish on the skirting boards and the door. And again, it just literally finishes off the walls so nicely. So another thing loads of people keep asking me about is where my radiator was from, and this was from Best Heating online, and the colour I got was called Millstone, and this cost me an arm and leg for this radiator, and everyone kept talking me out of it, saying I don't need to spend that much on a radiator. But guys, I can't even tell you how much I wanted this colour. Like, it was like half the price if I had it in white, but I didn't want it in white. And look how nice the colour looks against the walls. And every single person who comes in this room, can I just say, literally says that radiator is the nicest radiator I've ever seen. So I'm like, right, it was worth it. Money well spent. So yeah, that was also one of my best buys, even though me and Corey argued a lot over that radiator. So another thing that cost me an arm and a leg was the ambient lighting, but I really wanted it. So we had this soft ambient lighting fitted the whole way round the beauty room, and it's literally got its like own little like groove that it sits in, and it just gives this really soft ambient effect. And when it's dark and you've just got them on, it looks so good. It literally gives you like the perfect spa ambient lighting. And yes, we could have just gone for maybe some strip lights and like done a cheaper way of doing it, but we just thought, you know what, we're spending so much on this and this, let's just do it properly. So we actually had like it properly done, and I think you can tell when you do it like with just strips, and then when you do it with like the ambient lighting. And then I just went for normal spotlights as well. So obviously when I'm doing like my brows and I'm actually doing like my work where I need lots of light, I've got a nice bright open space. So while we're on the subject of lighting, I always used to have my panel lights and my ring lights on a tripod in my old beauty room, and it used to take up so much floor space. I literally used to have two at either side of the bed. And then we decided we was gonna get a bar that went above the bed that everything could be attached to. So believe it or not, this bar is a shower curtain rail from Amazon, and it was about £16. And it is the best thing we've ever bought in our life, because look, we can literally attach our lights, our cameras, everything above the bed, and it just gives like the perfect lighting because the light is like directly above the head. So when we had the tripods, yes, they was good, but they wasn't even in the right place and they took up all the floor space. So that is also a game changer. So for whatever reason, if you can't fasten one of these to your ceiling, they actually do these like wall mounts, which again was amazing. I used to have those in my old room, and you can literally fasten them to your wall and attach your light to that attachment, and then again you don't need any tripods, and that was a really good alternative to something like this. So yeah, have a look for that. I think they was on Amazon. So loads of you keep asking me where I get my towel steamer from. So this is from a brand called Sybil, and I bought this on Amazon actually. And you put your water in the bottom, your towels in the top, and it's actually very, very hot, like the hottest towel heater I've ever used in my life. So you have to try and get the timings right. So I have to turn it on like 10 minutes before a treatment and then turn it off so it cools down a bit, otherwise it's too hot. But yeah, loads of people ask me where that's from, and that is from Amazon. But I think I'm actually going to get rid of that, and I'm going to upgrade it to a towel heater, not a steamer, because with a towel heater you can put your hot cloths in there and it stays like a really nice warm ambient temperature all day. So let's talk curtains. So the curtains took me the longest time to decide what I was going for because they were so expensive. I got a quote off Curtains to Go and they were like £400 and odd to have them like customized and fitted to your door. And I was like, that is a lot of money for a little cheap bit of fabric. So I ended up getting these from IKEA, which were about £20. And I fitted them, and then I realised once I fitted them, they was actually too short for the window. They only come to there. So I had like this empty space, which was a disaster. So then I went back on the internet and I found these from H&M, which was the perfect length, this way and this way, but they were a little bit too sheer. So I decided to double them up. So I put the IKEA ones behind the H&M ones, and it just gave me like the perfect coverage, so I could still see out of them ever so slightly, which is what I wanted, but you can't see in there. So if you stand outside, you actually can't see in there. And I went for a black rail as well to go with the doors, and this was just a cheap one from Vere, and it does actually look quite good, apart from this join here I hate, and this join here I hate. But apart from that, if you don't look closely, it looks really good. So I'm really happy with how the curtains turned out. It was the exact look I was going for. So when I was building the cabin, I really wanted to pull like a bit of Native American and Americana like type of theme in here. So I felt like this corner worked perfectly for what I wanted. So I actually used my granddad's headdress as the main focus of this area, and I had it framed, and oh my goodness, can we just take a moment to see how incredible that actually looks? Like, one of a kind, no one else will have this in their home. That is literally like customized and just looks amazing, doesn't it? So yeah, so we wanted to put that on the wall, and then what we did is we then like had like the gorgeous chair to go with it. So this is very Scandi, this chair, and I actually got this chair given to me by one of my clients. She has the most beautifulest house and one of the most amazingest interior out of anyone I know. And she knew how obsessed I was with this chair, because when I was mobile, I used to go to her house and do her treatments. And I always used to say how much I loved this chair. So she actually gave me this chair, and it is probably the best present to date that I've ever been given. Sorry, Cora. But it actually is the best present I've ever been given. And then my girlfriends bought me this gorgeous cushion, which again just finishes this corner off, looks gorgeous on the chair. And where was this one from? I actually can't remember where this is from, but it just looks so good against this chair. And even like, just like this throw, which was only really inexpensive. This was from H&M, but again, the colours in it and the fabric just looks so nice against this area. And if anyone's wondering, this cute little side table is also from H&M, although I still think I need a bigger side table, but this will do for now. So as you can see, we went for tiled floor, but I really wanted a rug to make the room feel more warmer and cozier. And I got this rug from Benuta. And actually it had like the most amazingest thing online. So you could actually take a picture of your room and then click on the rug, and then the rug would like then appear in your room. So it was really helpful deciding which one to go for. Again, I did buy like 4 rugs before I actually decided on this one, but I think this colour and the shape and the size just fits perfectly. So everyone always asks me about this. The only thing that actually really annoys me about this rug is there's a few areas which pull when I hoover it, like that. But it's pretty easy to thread them back through. There's only ever been like 4, but yeah, that's the only negative thing about this rug. So although I have some expensive pieces, like I have put some inexpensive pieces together with it. And for example, this is from Facebook Marketplace that I sanded down myself and upcycled. And I just add that as an extra chair. I actually think it's really helpful, like when my clients are taking the shoes off and stuff. I just put it down here, and I find a lot of people just like throw the bag and the coat on it and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think this, just a simple chair, just looks so effective against the tiles and the walls and the curtains. Things like these little trays, these were from Etsy, again, not expensive. These were handmade, so you see like the imperfections in them, but it adds to the character and looks really nice. And then little knickknacks like these were from like the car boot. I think I paid £1.50 for my candle stand, and another candle stand. This was from the car boot. I paid like £3.50 for that. And then even like my little teacups, these were from a charity shop. I think I paid £3 for the whole of this set. My floating shelves, they were from Etsy. Little like bits like this that has my coffee and stuff in there, they were from H&M Home. The best coffee machine in the whole entire world. This was actually an espresso coffee machine, but this was from Very. And I managed to get it in a Black Friday sale and got it for a really discounted price. But just things like that, I don't know, just adds it all together and just makes it just perfect. I just, honestly, I still can't believe this is mine. So it's like 7 months that I've been in here and I still can't believe like this is mine. It still feels like I've literally only just got it. And things like my mirror as well. This I bought years ago from William Wood, and I didn't even know I was going to have this room at the time when I bought this mirror. This was for my old beauty room in my old house, and it never even came unboxed because then we had the situation with the neighbour and then we were forced to move. So yeah, if no one knows what I'm talking about, please watch the video below because it's really interesting, and this is the reason why we've got this, I guess, today, Corey. Like, if it wasn't for that incident, I don't think we would have moved, and I don't think we would have been here. I'll put those 2 videos in the description below if you want to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is just crazy. And the last thing I haven't shown you is the toilet. So the toilet I said I needed a bathroom because if my clients need a wee, or even if I need a wee, like you don't have to go through the house and you've just got this on the doorstep. So this unit was from Victoria Plum, so was the sink. The mirror was actually from the Range. That was really cheap. I think I paid £35 for that. The toilet, I would never buy from that company ever again. It's from a cheap website online, and it's the only thing in this room that's actually basically broken and cracked, and it's because I didn't spend a lot of money on it. One more thing. I bought these two little things from H&M Home. I think they was about £3.50 each. But yeah, I didn't want a big coat hanger for my clients to hang their coats and stuff. So I screwed those into this unit, and my clients can hang all their bits and bobs up there now. And again, it doesn't take floor space. I think that's it. I think what I really wanted to try and do with this room is I didn't want to clutter it. I still wanted to have like a nice open space without it feeling cluttered. But everyone knows as a beautician, we have so much stuff. Like our stock is like so much that we have, which is why I went for so many units, because I just wanted everything to be behind closed doors. But by looking at it from the surface, everything doesn't look cluttered. And that's what I wanted. I wanted you to walk in and like your mind is like, whew, it feels decluttered and de-stressed. So thank you so much for watching my beauty cabin tour. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.